Hello and welcome back to Ask Ardyce, the podcast. I'm here today with my grandma yet again. Do you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a good day.
Wonderful. Okay, so today we have what we are calling the international episode because we have questions from Australia, Switzerland, and Canada. So that is a 3-continent episode. So we are really looking forward to this one. Some great questions coming at you, Grandma. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so our first question, actually our first 2 questions, are from Australia, from a caller named Samantha Chapman. She says, do you think when you are breaking up with someone that you should cut ties immediately and permanently or not, even when it's an amicable breakup?
I think amicable breakups are great, but they are a breakup. And I think that you will be comfortable seeing each other if you meet in a restaurant, if you meet on the street. But I think that should be it. I think once you're broken up, you're broken up. You did it great. You did it easy. You're still kind of friends. But that's it. You're not really friends. You're just acquaintances now.
Right, so you can still be civil with each other, but you don't gotta be besties anymore, hey?
Yeah, of course. You see each other, you're friendly, meet in the restaurant, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're with somebody and they're with somebody. You're fine with that. It's just you don't go looking for it.
Right, it's a little too tricky emotionally to keep ties with people, hey?
You bet.
Fair enough. So, she also asked a second question. And this question is similar to one that Josephine asked last week, but a little bit different. She said, I would like to know what impact you feel being a grandma has had on your life. And then she followed it up with how would your life have been different if you had not become a grandma?
I think my life would have been very, very lonely if I hadn't had grandchildren. To me, it was just such an incredible, exciting, special time to have these babies come into my life and just spend time with me and me be able to spend time with them and bake with them and watch TV with them and feed them sugared cereal and do all kinds of things with them that their mom and dad didn't care, but it's not something they wanted them to do on a daily basis. So with grandparents, we got away with a lot more than parents do, and it's just a different thing. Their mom and dad raised them to be really good kids and really good adults. So when I had them in my care, I never had to worry about them needing to be disciplined or anything like that. It was always just a wonderful, wonderful time. So I don't know, I might have had more of a career. I might have been more of an entrepreneur if I wouldn't have had grandchildren. One stacked up against the other, I'll take the grandchildren every time.
It's cool as an entrepreneur to hear that, you know, you would have done more of that if you hadn't become a grandmother. But I also think that it's really inspiring that you managed to do both in your life.
Right.
You've done the entrepreneur thing, you've done the grandma thing, and I'm glad that you don't have any regrets, that you're okay with the way it went. So
Oh, yeah, I would never have not wanted grandchildren, Miranda. My goodness. It's hard enough having 2 great grandchildren, you know.
Yeah, far away, It's tough. I know. Very good answer. So the next question is from Florian Formica out in Switzerland.
Wow.
Yeah. So he asked...
Hi, Flo.
Yeah. This is the fun thing about this podcast is that it brings people together who we've had in our lives at different points, who you've met at different stages in our lives, and they just come back in to ask Grandma's wisdom. So that's pretty cool. He asks, what is the most romantic moment you remember?
Oh, what is the most romantic moment I remember?
I didn't know how you were going to answer this.
You know, I didn't have a lot of romantic times in my life, but when I was dating a man once and the weather turned really poor and we couldn't get together for New Year's Eve, all of a sudden this beautiful big bouquet of flowers came. And I'm not a great believer in bouquets of flowers because they a waste of money, but in a case like that, sorry, I shouldn't have it.
I love that.
Took it all away, didn't I?
No, that's great in the middle of your romantic moment. Well, he shouldn't have done it, but the fact that he did it was pretty cute, so.
I'm going to say that was probably the most romantic moment I had.
That's wonderful. And also, what a relevant thing to mention in these times, right? Where people can't see each other. You can still send little gestures of thoughtful little things that you could do to show somebody you care about them. So
Yes.
that's a beautiful little moment. And a second question from him, which I thought was really interesting. What is the difference between regret and remorse? And which one is worse?
I think regret is worse. To me, what remorse means is I've done something that isn't good, but I can solve it. I can find a solution to it.
Right.
Regret, 9 out of 10 times, it's already done. You've done the deed and you just can't shove it back in your mouth. And that's a really tough thing. And you can't change those. You just can't. There's nothing you can do to change them, and those are the sad ones.
So basically, you're saying that even if you feel badly about having done something, if you still have the control to change it, that's a lot better. If it's over and done with and there's nothing you can do moving forward, that's more the regrets and the things that are negative that you're holding on to.
Well, that's right. And I mean, I'm certainly not going to say that I'm not going to apologize for those things, but rarely can they be fixed with an apology, to me, when it's a real regret.
Gotcha. Moving on to our final caller. This one is a caller that you'll be very familiar with, Mr. Quentin Krogstad. But I really thought his question was quite deep, so I'll be interested to see how you answer this one as well. He said, how did you deal with it when your kids did things you didn't approve of or were disappointed with? And he said, in brackets, I assume this only applies to your oldest child. So he took himself right out of there. But how did you deal with it when your kids did things that you didn't approve of?
The sad part is I went through a stage in my life where spanking is what you did. And I certainly learned through my children when they were raising their children that if you hit your kid, they're going to know they can hit somebody else. And we never thought of it that way. We were disciplining. We were telling you did something wrong, and we were going to make you pay the price for doing something wrong.
I'm wondering, too, like, how did you deal with disappointments and things you didn't approve of when they were older?
Certainly, I tried my very best to talk to them. I wasn't always successful because sometimes they didn't want to hear. You know, when we're 14, 15, 16, we know everything, and then mom doesn't know a darn thing. And then when we're 25, gee, she got really smart. So those are really difficult times because when your child knows you're disappointed in them, it's heart-wrenching for you too. It really is. And sometimes there was nothing I could say. Once they had done the action, and all I could do was say, don't do it again.
Right.
That's a tough one, Quentin. James?
I think that's a good answer, though, Grandma, to say that it's about talking things out wherever possible, right? And I think that's something Dad has really learned from you also. I think that he has really adopted that strategy of wherever possible, just telling us what he thinks we're doing or asking us those questions of, do you think this course of action or this course of action would be better? Why do you think that, right? It's always a conversation. It wasn't ever, talking down to us. And I think that's something that he really learned from you. So
yeah, when I talked to my doctor once about lying, and I said, I'm struggling with it. I have a child that's lying. And he said, okay, the mistake you're probably making is when they've done something, you say to them, did you do this? And you know what? They're going to say no.
Yeah.
Because that's the automatic reaction. He said, don't say that to them. Ask them why they did it. Then you're opening the lines of communication, and they have to say something. The first time they were startled. Like,
right.
What are you asking me? And that made a big difference to stopping the lying. It really did.
Right. If you ask them why they did it, they have to think through it, give a reason, and they can kind of redeem themselves in a way and open a conversation.
Well, it opens up communication lines for sure.
That's a great way of phrasing it, Grandma. Why did you do this instead of did you do this? That's what I'm going to use in childcare for sure. Okay, so I think we'll cap it there. Is there anything that you wanted to sign off with to say goodbye to the viewers at this time?
Just thank you all so very, very much for continuing to ask questions. You have no idea how much this has added to my life. especially at this really, really difficult time in life. And I hope all of you are staying safe out there and as sane as possible.
So that was Ask Ardyce. I hope you got as much out of that as I always do. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them on Facebook, and I'll nag Grandma with some more questions soon.